Hey, friends and family, welcome to the Crossing Kin living room. It feels like 100 outside, and we're just not going to suffocate. That would be a whole other different vibe for Crossing Kin that we don't need.
No.
So we're back with the 4th of July edition of Crossing Kin. Happy Independence Day! We live in a constitutional republic, by the way.
I'm Kristen.
I'm Randy.
And today we are returning to our beloved series, Let's Recast It.
I absolutely love reimagining these old films. We've said it time and again. We don't want remakes of these.
No.
We really don't. Hollywood, just ignore Crossing Kent. Well,
No, please don't.
We'd like you to watch, but they're pretty much ignoring us already. Anyway, we really love the ideas that these are, but we really don't want to see them made. These films are absolutely perfect in their context, in their shooting, their scripts. Hollywood would mess them up at this point, don't you think?
I think in this movie's case, I think at least one thing could be fixed by a remake.
Okay, we'll get into that in just a minute, but welcome to Crossing Kin. Recast it. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
This movie originally starred Jimmy Stewart and was one of his earlier films. He's a baby in this movie, is he not?
He is young. I think this is before his Air Force service.
It's Frank Capra, right?
Exactly, yeah. But the cool thing about this film is as you watch, you're like, dude, it's a wonderful life. Dude, it's a wonderful life. Dude, it's a wonderful life. I mean, a lot of the production, a lot of the supporting cast, with the exception of the stars and everyone, there are. Frank Capra had a staple of people.
He had a favorite.
He had
favorites. Every director, writer, producer, everyone in Hollywood, even way back then, had their people that they loved to work with. And the cast of It's a Wonderful Life, which came after this film, was in Frank Capra's Rolodex.
That's a very valid point. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington was made before Jimmy Stewart's Air Force service. It's a Wonderful Life was made after. And in Jimmy Stewart's life, I read something recently that you can tell the difference in his acting style between that time period with the horrors of war. He insisted upon being one of these pilots that flew missions over Europe. Go back and read Jimmy Stewart's biography. It's absolutely fascinating. And then when you finish that, check out any film that he and Frank Capra did together.
All right. Like I said a little bit ago, I love this film. Don't get me wrong. I think this is a really good film. And as Dad pointed out to me before we began shooting, this is an election year. Watch this film before going to the polls. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Go and watch the film. It's a fantastic film. There are a ton of political films. We won't get to all of them on Recast It, but spend some time before we go to the polls and definitely go and vote. That's the message we can give you on this Independence Day. We don't care who you vote for who you want to vote for, but go and vote.
Absolutely. The only thing with this film, I would fix the ending. This film ends on a very abrupt note.
That's a good point.
We hit the climax and then there's no denouement. There's no calm down.
What? What is that?
Denouement.
Please define.
Calming down.
Okay, all right. A Frenchy French word on our Independence Day. Wow.
Well, the French helped us.
They did help us. That's true. They did help us.
So, anyway, there's no calming down bit. There's no hero gets to reunite with the girl bit. There's none of that. We hit the climax and we're done.
Yeah, you find yourself winding up with a Paul Harvey moment. You want to hear what the rest of the story is.
Yeah.
You really do. Yeah. And that really is the only criticism that we can make.
It would be like Avengers Endgame killing Thanos and then that's it. We don't get a second to breathe, to grieve Tony, none of it. That's the best
analogy we can come up with. Yeah. You're welcome.
It would be like a war movie ending with the last bullet fired, and then we don't get to know what happens to the characters we've been following.
That is a very valid point with this film. It is a wonderfully patriotic film. but it does have a little bit of a stunted ending. We love those films that build, build, build to a climax, hit the peak, and then have a decrescendo, so to speak, if I can use a musical term, that kind of fills in the gaps and gives you the hero riding off into the sunset with the heroine.
Now, I will say, I know why this movie has such a truncated ending. It's already 2 hours long.
That's true.
And for the time period, it was like 1935-ish, somewhere in there. For that time period, films were an hour and a half max. Maybe an hour 45 if it was a really good Cary Grant movie.
Unless you're Frank Capra.
Unless you're Frank Capra. He didn't know how to film a short movie.
He did not.
But if we were to have the extended ending, apparently there were scenes filmed of resolutions.
Yeah.
And they were deleted. My guess, it didn't say on IMDb trivia why they were deleted. I honestly think it was for time.
Recast it.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. We are only casting 5 characters.
Okay,
today.
As a reminder, what we do here, for those of you who are new to Crossing Ken, for our Recast It moments, we take modern day actors and put them into these classic films. So if you've not watched any of our Recast It's, finish this video.
Playlist.
And then go check out the playlist of our
somewhere.
other Recast It's. Perhaps they're fascinating to you. Perhaps it's a moment just to stare at a screen. But regardless of why you watch us, thanks.
Hey, a couple of our Recasteds are our most popular videos on
This is true.
So,
this is true.
So please go and check out the playlist. I think it'll be above Dad's head.
Okay.
All right. So, like I said, 5 characters this time round. They are Jefferson Smith, Joe Payne, Saunders, Jim Taylor, and Dismore.
We'll talk a little bit about the actors who portray these roles as we go through our choices for who we would put modern day actors into these roles. Not changing the script, not changing the context, not changing the time frame that it is set in either.
Please note this is still set in the 1930s.
Right.
All right. So, on with Recast It. Our first character up is Senator Jefferson Smith, originally played by Jimmy Stewart.
Now, this is a character who, his Boy Rangers, it's the Boy Scouts.
Let's just called Daniel Boone the whole time.
He is this Midwestern, patriotic, doe-eyed, naive, innocent, who gets thrust into Washington, D.C., and all of its rigors, its corruption, its
snake oil,
it's everything. However, you see it through his perspective as these intensely patriotic monuments. The moment that he's in the Lincoln Memorial is just, it makes you want to stand up, put your hand over your heart, and salute,
Yeah.
And then to know that Jimmy Stewart was actually involved in the military after this was something also that really, really draws meaning into his tour of D.C.
All right, you want to give yours first?
Absolutely. Now, in the role, you really, you're thinking about this charming, doe-eyed Midwestern type. Well, the only thing I've even seen this guy on, he wore glasses the whole time. So I don't know what his eyes look like.
I do. He has beautiful eyes.
Charlie Cox, Daredevil himself.
He's British. But he can do an American accent flawlessly.
We are a patriotic breed of Mulligan stew here at Crossing Ken. Charlie Cox, I didn't realize he was British, but he is my choice for the Jefferson Smith role. I loved him in Daredevil, and Daredevil Reborn, is it already out?
Not yet.
Coming.
I think it's beginning of next year.
Okay. Anyway,
check
be watching
Disney
for
Plus.
Yeah, check Disney Plus.
But
be
he's
watching
had
for
cameos in Echo and She-Hulk and Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man, that's right. So he has been involved in the Marvel Universe, the MCU, since before Daredevil, which was a Netflix production, as I recall.
But Disney now has the rights to it. It too is now on Disney Plus.
So go and check out Charlie Cox in these and some other roles. IMDb.com.
It is your friend.
It is your friend. If you're a movie buff, it is your friend, and it'll give you his complete filmography. I like the things that I've seen him done. Again, I am restricted only by the MCU, which is the only things I've seen him in.
I've seen clips of him and other stuff, and he does have a lot of genuine heart. I can see him in the Lincoln Memorial scene. I can see him in the Senate scene. So that's a really good pick.
Thank you.
But
Thank
I
you.
think I like mine just a hair better.
Okay.
Mostly because I know he can play the Daniel Boone
Okay.
type. I have picked Luke Kleintank.
Is he an American?
He is.
Oh.
But you know him from Bones. He
Mhm.
played Finn Abernathy, the Southern Squintern on Bones, and it's one of the few Southern accents that I don't take offense to in Hollywood. So, Hollywood, stop casting people from the South as non-people from the South, okay? Stop casting Yankees as folks of the South. They don't know how to do the Southern accent. It hurts, okay? Just start casting Southerners in your Southern people role, and all will be well. But that is beside the point.
Kristen's rant.
Well, you go on them from time to time.
From time to time.
Anyway,
good pick, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
He is. Other folks will know him from Man in the High Castle, which was a Prime thing. I've not gotten the opportunity to see it. Currently, he is on FBI International.
Gotcha.
He's actually headlining that show. And he's still young enough that I think he can pull off the naive, innocent leader of the basically Boy Scouts. But he has enough passion behind his eyes that I know he could hold the Senate floor scene very easily.
Gotcha.
I think his work on Bones, especially some of the emotional beats he had to hit with Bones, proved to me at least that he could definitely hold this role. Up next, we have Senator Joe Payne, originally played by Claude Rains. This character he is the believed friend, really not friend, kind of the reason Jeff winds up in the mess he's in, but he does kind of come around. He's part of the reason the ending does feel so weird because he takes a super dramatic turn, which we will not discuss here. Go watch the movie for yourself to see that. He takes a super dramatic turn, and then we don't get to find out how that ends for him.
Right.
So Joe Payne is kind of a tragic character, quite honestly.
And the character actor who plays him, Claude Rains, I believe, was in that incredible film about the Scopes trial, Inherit the Wind.
Yes.
Inherit the Wind. I think that's where his name got made.
All right, Daddy, who is your Joe Payne?
My Joe Payne has been in Hollywood for decades. He's always been an accessory character. I think he has always been that supporting cast member in the things that I have seen him in. Most recently, Heart of Dixie. We're now just going through Kristen's prime example of why non-Southerners should not be trying to pull off a Southern accent. It's a humorous television show.
It's painful.
But he
is also now on NCIS, is he not?
That is true. He is on the regular NCIS as the lead who took over from Gibbs. Gary Cole is my Senator Payne. Now, I say this because the roles that I have seen him in have all been kind of leadership or fatherly type roles, mentor type roles. But he's also been a putz in a couple of things too. So I think he can pull off that slimy politician role pretty well because I've seen him in a variety of roles that really portend him to be a gifted character actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, he's got the hair already too. So, I mean, he could pull that, if as far as the look goes. He has a politician's look. Sorry, Mr. Cole, if you find that offensive, but
I find it offensive on this man.
Well, anyway, Gary Cole is my pick for Senator Joe
Payne. All right. My pick is someone who has actually played a politician on film before. I have gone with Julian McMahon. I really hope that's how you say his last name. He was Dr. Doom in the 2004 Fantastic Four.
Our favorite iteration so far of Fantastic Four.
Very much looking forward to Marvel's version here soon.
Julian McMahon was also on FBI International.
Not International. He was on Most Wanted.
Most Wanted.
He's
that's
not on it anymore, but he was the lead for a time on FBI Most Wanted.
I can see that.
He also played the vice president in Red.
Oh.
The kind of he's kind of the bad guy. He's not there until like the last 30 minutes, but
I
the
remember that.
literal whole plot is because he did something bad when he was doing military service, and everybody covered it up because his daddy was connected, and now he's the vice president and is about to run for president.
Yeah,
So
slimy
it's
politician, check.
check. Only thing against him, he's Irish, I believe. So he might be having to fight his Irish accent a little bit, but he does a great American accent. He's proven that in everything that he's been in that I've seen. I've never actually seen something where he's had to use his natural accent. I love his natural accent. I've heard him in interviews. He has a lovely voice. But yeah, I think Julian McMahon could pull off the drama needed for this role, the conflictedness. I've seen him be a good guy. That's the good news. I've
Right.
seen him be both a bad guy and a good guy, so I know he can play both sides. But yeah, I think Julian McMahon, again, I really hope I'm saying that last name correctly, could pull off Pain very well.
Nice choice.
Yes.
Nice. I think we've both chosen some great actors so far for
Mm.
what we're recasting thus far.
All right. Up next, we have Clarissa Saunders, I believe is
I
her
believe
first
that's
name.
right.
Most everybody calls her Saunders throughout the film. Very few people actually call her by her first name. Saunders is his secretary for all intents and purposes, but she's honestly the person that is helping Jeff be able to function in Washington.
She is the savviest politician with righteousness in her veins.
With no political power at all, because she is a woman in the 1930s.
She is a woman in the 30s, and it is absolutely wonderful to see her coach. That's a better way. I was going to say pulling the strings on the puppets, but she is very, very much, she's politically savvy. She's smart. She's bright. She's intelligent. She knows people. She knows how to work the system without being corrupt in the process, and she does a magnificent job of doing this. Remind us who the actress was.
Jean Arthur.
Jean Arthur. She and Jimmy Stewart had been in some things, as well as her and Cary Grant in some things too. She was this classy character actress from that time period who was in, again, IMDb, her films. Some of them are better than others.
I believe you can stream most of the old films that we're talking about on Max, because I think that's where Turner Classic streams all of its stuff through.
Right.
So if you want to check out all of these old films, maybe go hit up Max. I think that's where they all get streamed through.
Or Turner Classic Movies if you happen to have Dish or DirecTV.
Exactly. All right. So, Daddy, who's your Saunders?
My Saunders is, she was absolutely delicious in Cruella.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
Emma Stone is my Saunders. I think she has proven herself the versatility of an actress, and in the things that I have seen her in, she has that fire and that passion and the smarts, the sophistication, but the smarts. And I think she would pull this role off brilliantly.
This role is like the perfect mashup of Gwen Stacy and Cruella, which are really the only thing he's seen her
exactly. She was in the second Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man. She was Andrew's Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield's Gwen Stacy. She would be my Saunders. I think she'd pull that role off incredibly.
And I think she'd play well off of Charlie.
Yeah, I think exactly. As we work some of these casts, we also start thinking about how they would work together based on the things that we read and we see in interviews and things like that, just to see what their personal characteristics are like, so they would pull off our roles as we see them.
Yeah, because if actors don't have good chemistry, it is always very painful to see and not fun to watch.
And it's evident. I mean, it really, really is.
All right.
Who is your pick, Kristen?
My Saunders is also from the Marvel Universe. I am still deeply hoping that she makes a return proper in the MCU. I have picked Kristen Ritter. She played Jessica Jones in the Netflix series of the same way, as well as The Defenders. But you actually have seen her in something else. She was in season 7 of Gilmore Girls. She was Rory's friend.
Okay.
For that season.
Yep.
Rory found 2 friends that season, and Kristen Ritter was
That's
the
right.
one that kind of got a slightly expanded role. And between the 2 roles, she can pull off the beaten down part of Saunders, because Saunders literally starts the film and is throughout the film. She proclaiming how beaten down she is by the political system by watching these young senators get chewed up and spit out, blah, 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 blah. And I think because of Jessica Jones, she could pull off that side, but because of all of her comedy background, because that Gilmore Girls is the only one we've seen, but she was originally and might still be considered a comedy actress for the most part. Mm-hmm. And she has phenomenal comic timing. I believe personally. So I think she would be able to pull off the quick wit and just the snap that is Saunders.
Moving right along, we've got two more actors in this film. Again, we can't tell you enough. Regardless of the political climate that's out there right now, go and watch this film.
Up next, we have the actual bad guy of this movie, Jim Taylor, as originally played by Edward Arnold.
Edward Arnold was a great actor during the time, and he was also one of these supporting characters. You really never saw him as a lead role that I can recall. I'm sure he probably had some films that way, but he always played this stereotypical New York bad guy,
businessman,
exactly, mob guy. You know, I mean, he was the original Tony Soprano. Jim Taylor is the big bad for the film.
Yep. And who do you have?
He is one of the most lovable characters in one of our favorite television shows, Blue Bloods. He is Anthony. What's his last name?
DeMarco.
Thank you. I'm not sure I could even say it if I could have remembered it. Abadamarco. He is Anthony Abadamarco in Blue Bloods. The actor's name is Steve Sciarippa.
We've not seen The Sopranos, but apparently he is also in
Sopranos. He is perfect for this role. He pulls off this New York tough guy cop in Blue Bloods so well that you're just like, dude, you could be a mob boss yourself if you don't already have ties.
I think
he does it. He's a good guy. He does play a mobster in Sopranos. Yeah, Steve Sciarippa, I think is how you pronounce his last name. I think he'd be just gorgeous in this role.
If we're wrong about the pronunciation, please correct us. I've been trying to figure out how to pronounce his name for years.
Yeah.
So I kind of went with more of the businessman side with my casting. I picked Kelsey Grammer. So here's the thing. Kelsey Grammer can play sinister.
Oh, yeah, without doubt.
And that is what this character is to me. He is so sinister. The tactics he uses, like, if somebody learned about these tactics today, that person would go to jail. So yeah, Kelsey Grammer, he's mine. I'm not gonna pigeonhole him. So yeah, moving right along, we have the character of Diz Moore, originally played by Thomas Mitchell, also known as Uncle Billy from It's a Wonderful Life.
I always forget that these two guys are the same actor. Uncle Billy in It's a Wonderful Life much later, and you can tell he's aged a little bit. Something's going on there too. But he is one of these great character actors. Frank Capra loved him. I think Jimmy Stewart loved him. It's one of those he just does. His range is on display between these two films.
Diz is a reporter. He's kind of Saunders' confidant. He sort of has a crush on her. They have a joke the whole way through the movie that they're going to go get married. Which, that goes away. It's a friendship, which Absolutely. Again, in the 30s for secretary, reporter, that friendship would be considered weird, but they go out to dinner, they're drinking buddies. He helps her through all of the Jeff mess. All right, who's your Diz, Daddy?
My Diz is I love this character.
This actor.
He is Ramon Rodriguez. He is currently playing Will Trent on ABC's show of the same name, based off of Karen Slaughter's series of books. Go read the books, watch the television show. It is, in our opinion, one of the best new cop dramas out there.
Just renewed for season 3.
Just renewed season 3. That's awesome. But I could also see him in that reporter's hat and, going back and forth with Emma Stone,
talker.
Absolutely.
I do love that casting.
How many times have we heard her say that this time?
You've said it a fair few yourself, sir.
I'm still not happy with Kelsey Grammer. Moving on.
Anyway, My Diz, I have actually gone to the Daredevil well. I picked Eldon Henson, who played Foggy in Daredevil. To me, he is always going to be Fulton from Mighty Ducks, but the actor has stretched. I've actually seen him in a couple of other side roles that he's done where he actually plays really dramatic, but that's not what's required for this.
Absolutely not.
This is comedy, and between Mighty Ducks and his sass, because let's be honest, he's the sassy friend in Daredevil. He can absolutely pull this off.
That's
He
good
can
casting.
100% pull this off.
Now, which one do you like better? Do you
That
like
was it.
mixes of both of us?
You liked my pain best.
I do like your pain best. You like my Saunders best.
Did not say that.
Okay.
I said I liked your casting.
However, how do you like? Who do you pick? Did we miss somebody that would be perfect in these roles?
Probably.
Make sure you've seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington before you comment on any of the choices that we've made.
Like I said, Mr. Smith, I believe, can be streamed through Max. If not, I guarantee you a DVD is real cheap on Amazon. All right, that is it for us from Cross and Kin today. Make sure you leave us a like, leave us a comment, ring that notification bell so you know every time we upload, and have a happy 4th of July.
Happy Independence Day.
Bye.